Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist discussion. It's been a while. Thanks, NBC, for that.
Yeah, I mean, we still have a bit of a wait until January 22nd for a new episode, but we are here today talking about what's coming up.
Yeah, there's been a couple of details that have surfaced after what seems like forever. NBC has finally confirmed that 16 ounces is the name of episode 3.
Yep.
That is still weird. I've got a lot of different thoughts about that, but we're going to discuss a lot in this video the concept of revenge, because it feels like this is a very big revenge-themed episode for one Elizabeth Keene.
Yeah, for sure. This title feels very much about revenge. Last time we saw her, she was in extreme pain about what happened with who she thinks is her mother being killed in front of her by Reddington. So is she going to be out for revenge? This title seems to think so.
We're going to map out some scenarios here as to what Liz might be doing coming up and sort of map some of them out. And of course, she wants answers, but is she really even thinking about answers at this point?
Yeah.
That's one of the things we'll dive into. But before we do, if you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. As you probably know, we do a lot of Blacklist coverage here.
Yep, and we're going to have a lot more coming up. And also, if you want to just follow us a little more personally, get to see some stuff with Coco Chanel, what we did over Christmas. We have a bunch of pictures up at our Instagram, which is Matt and Jess TV. So follow us over there.
There you go, Coco. You have done your job for today.
Okay, so let's start with the title of this episode. It is 16 ounces, and 16 ounces is also a pound. And for any of you Shakespeare fans out there, we know that a pound of flesh is sort of the idea of revenge. And after everything that we just saw with Liz, she told Reddington, "Don't kill her. I will never forgive you. This is something we can't get past." He did it anyways. He killed Katarina, or who we think is Katarina. Could be imposter. That's a video for another time.
Yeah.
But this is what Liz thinks right now. And so we're trying to get into her mind of, if this episode is called 16 ounces, which is also a pound of flesh, is she coming for a pound of flesh?
This is going to be a huge thematic presence throughout this episode, because as you guys know, the Blacklist doesn't mess around with their episode titles very much, and that's why there was a good couple weeks after I first heard that this was the title where I honestly didn't really believe it. Like, I thought it was some sort of weird rumor, because other than like Cape May or Brothers or Requiem, it's like the majority of these episodes are about blacklisters, and I was thinking at first, it's like, if you're naming this 16 ounces, why don't you just call it a pound? But I guess that doesn't sound as cool or as clever.
Or at this point, just put Liz on the blacklist, because it feels like they've been building these past few episodes to a Liz versus Reddington, which is something that a lot of us haven't wanted to see. It's not really personally where I wanted this to go. I've really enjoyed watching Liz and Reddington going together on these sort of adventures. There's a nice chemistry between them. I like watching them work together. But this is where we are. We are at revenge, because after everything that happened, that last sort of scene with her, she was just in like a blind rage. So revenge, that's what feels like is on the table for this episode.
And I think the thing is that with Liz in this mindset, as we sort of set up earlier, yeah, Liz wants answers about her past and everything else, but Reddington has dragged his feet for this for so many years. I don't know if she expects she's ever going to get them from him, so I think now maybe we're bleeding into this sort of territory where Liz is just going to do something, and I think the question is, what is she going to do?
Yeah, you hit on something really important there, which is that, I mean, Liz ended up sort of siding with Katarina because she just feels like Reddington is a dead end now when it comes to answers. He's not giving them. It's been years and years and years. He is a vault. It's not happening. That she would actually go against him to go with Katarina for just a chance at answers. So now that Katarina is gone, is she going to go back to Red and try to go back to this well that is dry, that is closed? I don't think so. So we're going to get into our sort of first theory of where we think this episode is going. And if this is about revenge, what that revenge could look like. So is Liz going to try to kill Red in like this blind rage? Because when we last saw her, she was just standing in this, like, on the street, like, screaming, crying, like, everything that had happened to her. She is not thinking clearly right now. She's not thinking about that she has love for him, that she cares for him. She is just seeing that the person she thinks is her mother has been killed. She asked Reddington not to do this. He did it anyways in front of her. Is this going to be just a blind rage killing?
I think the first thing to remember is that Liz has killed before. She's more than capable of doing something like this, especially in the emotional state. I think after she became temporarily the stew maker in the milestone episode.
Yeah, they've shown that she's capable of doing quite a lot.
Yeah, so I don't think that part of it is really off the table at this point. I mean, the thing that's probably off the table at this point is just that she's probably not actually going to be able to do it because they're not going to kill Reddington, like 4 episodes into the new season of the show. Megan Boone did say on Instagram a while back that people, if you didn't like where Liz was before and you weren't a fan of her, you really weren't going to like what was coming up next.
Yeah, I don't think James Spader is leaving the show. Nobody wants this, including, I think, NBC. He's a great actor. He's a great draw. He's doing an excellent job with Reddington. Do we think that it could be like she could be in a blind rage to try to kill him and miss? Yes, I could see that happening, but I don't think they're actually going to kill Reddington off.
I think the question that's interesting to me is that, let's say Liz is full, as you said, blind rage. Who's going to talk her down from this? Because there's got to be somebody that's like, okay, wait just a gosh darn minute here, Liz. This is not going to go well for you. I think Wrestler has to be like number 1 on the list just because he's been sort of the pseudo voice of reason as of late.
Yeah, I think he could be one of the people. I think Dembe could be one of the people. She really has a lot of respect for him and love for him and, trusts him. And I think that he could be someone that could talk her down from this.
How is the task force going to factor into all of this? Because, Dembe is a good candidate for it because Dembe has kind of been a middleman before between the two of them. But it's like, we've got Liz versus Red. Liz isn't exactly operating on the right side of the law all the time. I can't see, Cooper being for all of her shenanigans. So I don't really know where they're going to land from here.
Okay, so another option sort of as revenge is that could Liz try to, get him sent to, a black site? So not necessarily jail, but, basically a fate worse than death. Take someone like Reddington, who is a man of the world, trying this wine and this cheese in this country, and put him in a black hole somewhere where he can never basically see the light of day. That is basically killing him. So is there a possibility that she could maybe even go above Cooper, go higher up sort of in the company and say, listen, this is what's happening. I have this recording. I think he's this N13 person who might be going against our government. I know what we're doing with the task force is important, but he might be a traitor to the country, so black hole for him.
It could almost be, in a way, sort of a throwback to the very first season where Reddington is sort of at the quote-unquote post office, just sort of sitting there and handing over some information, with the key difference being nobody's going to be able to sort of be convinced to let him out into the field again, and he's just stuck there, and who knows what sort of information he would ever want to give up. I mean, it's one that makes sense in that, okay, Reddington doesn't die, you continue to use James Spader. It would bum me out, I think, only because, as morally ambiguous as Reddington may be, and I think that's just putting it lightly, he's captivating. I don't want to see Reddington sad for the remainder of the show. That'd just break my heart.
I think the issue is that this is a dark show.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think if we're all, a lot of us are rooting for Reddington. We want to see him sort of off in the world being a man about town. But I don't know that that's how his end is going to come.
Yeah, it's very easy to forget amidst all of the tales of him traveling the world and meeting weirdos that he's a criminal, he's a murderer. Like, he has killed all sorts of people, regardless of the rationale. I don't really think always that person deserved it is an argument you can make in a court of law.
No, not when you're on FBI's most wanted list.
Yeah, so Reddington may have a very dark end here. Liz may be the one that sort of furthers it along. But, the next sort of idea here is, ultimately, we did just see Reddington kill someone who supposedly is close to Liz, regardless of whether or not it's the real Katarina. Liz had value in this person. Mm-hmm. Red took her away. Could Liz be like, okay, well then, you know what? I'm going to take someone close to you away, sort of as an eye for an eye.
But then we get into who is more important than Liz at this point to Reddington. And I mean, there aren't that many candidates. I mean, there is Dembe, and Dembe, I feel like, is kind of on the same level. I mean, if he had both of them hanging off a cliff, I truly don't know who he would save.
Yeah.
I mean, they both bring something to him in a different way that he needs and he loves and he appreciates, and he loves them both. So, I mean, if she went and killed Dembe, I don't know if it's enough for him to turn his back on her and be like, okay, that's a bridge too far. You're done.
If Liz kills Dembe, I don't know if I will be able to move forward. I think I will be just inconsolable. I will just be bawling my eyes out. You want to talk about Reddington being in a black site bumming me out? That would bum me out to no end. I hope they're not doing that. I'm not as confident in that as I am that, they're not killing Reddington, obviously.
Yeah, because the thing about Dembe is that she does have a trust with him. And we already saw where she kind of used that trust to get away, right? So, I mean, she can get close to Dembe and he might not see it coming.
Yeah, and I tried to think of other people, because you would just ask the question, like, who else is really close to Reddington that he would stand to lose? It's like, Ilya has been presented as, this lifelong friend of his, but, while he may be important to Reddington, we've barely really even seen Ilya other than just, like, a handful of episodes. Like, our souls are not going to be crushed if Liz is like, okay, well, now I'm going to kill Ilya because you killed Katarina.
Yeah, and I don't think that Reddington will be upset about it, but is that an unforgivable kill? I don't think so. Again, if we have that cliff scenario and it's, Liz and Ilya hanging off a cliff, I think he's going to save Liz.
Yeah, I think Ilya, at least based on a lot of our theories that are out there about maybe the two of them being tasked with protecting Liz, I think Ilya would probably be like, okay, I understand, I'm just going to fall off the cliff now. Yeah. Like, that's certainly possible here.
Okay, so another theory is the idea, if she wants revenge, that maybe she can't go through with killing Reddington herself, that maybe she will send in someone else. So she has this recording. She will have this recording. It's there. She doesn't know about it yet, but she probably will. That she could take this recording and bring it to the Townsend Directive and get that to be put out there. Now, we've already talked about what we think about the Townsend Directive and that whole thing and how easy it was to just roll up on the whatever it was, the Western Division of it, and just kill them in 5 minutes. But there's still the other side. I guess it would be the Eastern Division is still out there somewhere. So could Liz just roll up to them and be like, hey, here's this. He's N13. You want to kill N13? This works out for both of us. All the best to you.
Yeah, I certainly hope the, Neville Townsend, wherever he is, and whatever supposed Eastern Division there is, that he's got, like, a better assemblage of people around, because it's like sort of a video game where you go through, like, the first world and take out the boss at the end of the first world. That was the Western District with Heidegger and all of that nonsense where you're just like, oh, that was really, really easy. This better be like the 20th world final boss, like exponentially more challenging, intimidating people.
Absolutely. Like right now, I'm not that scared about the Townsend Directive and this, Katarina's hiding out. It's so bad. Oh my goodness. And it took Reddington like 2 guards and they're done and this guy's dead and he's the head of the whole like Western Division. That was real soft.
Yeah, those people sucked. Like, let's just be clear about that. But This is the really, really crazy possibility here, but we love getting crazy, so let's do it. Alexander Kirk, I will not let this die because Alexander Kirk has not died either as far as we know.
You are going to die on this hill.
Okay. For a long time, I thought, okay, this is a great time to bring back Kirk because Katarina's in the mix again. She's, she's alive. She's out there. There's been this mystery as to what did Reddington whisper to Kirk to get him to go away. A lot of people out there think that what he whispered was that Katarina is still alive. And then Kirk was like, all right, well, I'm going to go try to find her now. Don't mind me. I'm just going to walk out of here. But what if Liz is able to track down Kirk now? Because Reddington never told Liz that Kirk is dead. He just said gone because Reddington is shady and never shares all the information.
Yep.
So could Liz then track down Kirk and be like, oh, by the way, remember Katarina, this person who you really, really loved? Reddington just killed her. I don't think Kirk would be too happy about that, at least so long as he thinks that was the real Katarina who died.
Yeah, I mean, that is another possibility of sending someone out to do the dirty work for Liz. But, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. I'm leaning more on a sort of she will want her own revenge. So unless somebody can really talk her out of it, I mean, I don't know. I think we've been seeing Liz get darker and darker and darker. That whole Liz is the stew maker thing. I mean, that was it. She just broke bad then, and that was it.
I'm still also not dying on the hill that eventually Liz and Red are going to come back together, but I think it's going to get real bad before it starts to get better. I think this is going to be a very intense next couple of episodes at least.
Yeah, I mean, I said it earlier, I really want to see these two sort of back working together, but it's going to be really difficult. Reddington is going to have to give something very big to sort of pull her back in after killing her mother. And I say it like this because we don't know for sure that she's the real Katarina. Right now, that's all the information we've been given. She thinks this is her mother. So if that is the case and she doesn't get any other information, Reddington's sort of in a weird position now with what can he bargain with to kind of bring her back in, earn some sort of trust, work it out. I mean, they're going to have to really be convincing.
Well, we will be back before too long to discuss more stuff on the Blacklist. We'll see what happens. We'll see if they give us some more good stuff between now and a couple of weeks when the show is back on the air. But for now, let's talk about episode 3 with you guys. What do you think Liz is going to try to do? What is she capable of doing? Is Alexander Kirk coming back after being off the show for 3.5? Let us just know in the comments. And if you do like this video, subscribe, give us a like.
Revenge!
Not dying on that hill. And if you want to support us further, check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.